Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. It's really good to have you here. A lot of talk right now about Tina Kotek, governor of Oregon. People aren't very happy with her. I just saw, I posted it on my page. Lars Larson did an interview with Christine Drazen, another candidate for Oregon governor. And he was asking her, where's all this money that Tina Kotek put into housing? Zero. How many affordable houses did she build? Well, and now what I'm irritated with right now, and you should be too, and I'm not even a taxpayer in Oregon. I'm just irritated because I love Oregon. But she's dragging her heels. She has 1 week to sign that transportation bill into law so that people, the voters of Oregon, the citizens, the people, not her subjects, oh Queen Kotek, but the people of Oregon have the right to go out and gather signatures and try to stop what she's doing if they want to. And if she was truly into democracy, which she's not, she would be offering that democracy, and she would have signed that emergency bill. Remember that emergency legislation? We needed that so badly. And now it's just been sitting there because she's stalling. She's dragging her feet. And even her own party, people in her own party, not many, because they all stick together and shut up fast. But a couple of them have come out and said, come on, governor, you got to sign this thing. This is looking really bad. How can we be out here professing Donald Trump is destroying our democracy when you, the Democrat governor of Oregon, are doing the exact thing you're accusing him of doing, and he's not doing any of it, and you're doing all of it. So get off your big ass and sign the bill so that people can go out and have their right to try to turn this around if they want to. I know that doesn't go along with your plan, but guess what? It's not your state. Did you know that, Tina Kotek? It's not your state. So the guy we have on tonight, Patrick Hales, that's Hales, is running for governor. And there's numerous people. Every time I do a show, people write me and say, hey, do you know this guy is? There's even a guy with the MMA or like fighting guy. And I emailed him. He hasn't gotten back to me. So I kind of have a feeling he might not be doing it. But tonight we're going to talk to Patrick. But first, we're going to get our sponsor in here. This channel, Michael Bratlin. He's a great guy, good friend, and a big supporter of the show. And he loves the fact that we talk about these kind of things because that's what Oregonians need to be doing. If you want your state back, you have to work at it. It's not just going to happen. And every single one of you needs to be out there voting when all of this comes around. So let's just bring Patrick on and we'll have a conversation. Hi, Patrick. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good, Rick. Nice to finally meet you. I've been seeing a lot of things posted lately. Oh, you need to talk to Rick. You need to talk to Rick. And so I'm glad we finally connected and able to do this. So I'm excited about it.
So I'm real happy to have you too, because I think the most important thing is that people, I think what people are finally starting to do is, oh, wait, before I forget, I'm going to put up your website in the comment section so people will see that. I think it's really important that people, they get so, well, I don't know how to meet these people. And, when the news, if you announced on the, like the legacy news.
I'm not sure what happened there. I lost you, Rick.
You're still here on my end. Can you hear me at all, Patrick?
Now I can. Yeah.
Okay.
Not sure what happened.
If you
this
go,
is the joys of rural Wi-Fi.
Okay, you guys. So Patrick, here's what you do. If you don't hear me, just start talking and I'll shut up because you are coming through on my end. And
okay.
I will, and you just take it from there. You're going to have to ask your own questions if you do that, but this will be the best interview you ever did. So Patrick, just start off by telling people kind of where you live, who you are.
My name is Patrick Hales. I live out in Grant County, a little town called Mount Vernon, about 8 miles west of John Day. I'm about 3 hours from any major city out here. So Ontario's 3 hours, Pendleton's 2.5. Bend is 3 hours. Redmond's 3 hours. The other major city that I have near me is Burns, Oregon. So I'm out in the middle of nowhere, Oregon, and I absolutely love it out here. You can really connect with the community of people out here because everyone just kind of works together and comes together and everything. So it's why I love it out here.
So
I did live on the other.
you are true rural Oregon.
Yeah, the town of Mount Vernon is maybe 500 people.
I've
So
been through it. No, now that you never, because you never said the name when we were talking earlier when you were driving, and I've been
right.
through it because I've been all through that country. So, how did people in your part of the country feel when, the Greater Idaho movement got a lot of support from people, or at least to look into it? When you hear urban Oregonians say stuff like, "Well, if you don't like it, just leave," and they don't realize what it feels like to be a rural Oregonian and be absolutely voiceless in government.
It is absolutely a huge disconnect between rural and urban and suburban areas. And that's one of the things I'm hoping to kind of bridge that gap because I am from the Valley. I am from Willamette Valley. I was born in Portland. I lived in Beaverton, Tualatin, Tigard, Rainier, Scappoose, Longview, Battleground, Vancouver. So I've lived all over the Portland, Vancouver metro area most of my adult life. I've also lived in Indiana, Texas, and California. So I've been to a lot of places. I used to be a truck driver where I traveled across the country. So I've seen a lot of the country. I see how rural people live. They are the bread and butter of feeding the world. 2% feeds the 100%. So I have a lot of respect for rural America. I also understand, the cities and stuff like that, being from that area.
So what do you do for a
What they
living,
need.
Patrick?
I am actually retired. I retired a couple years ago. Then I went back to school and got my degree, and then spent another 200 hours earning a state certification as a mental health counselor for veterans and first responders. So, and I'm also a volunteer firefighter in my rural community.
So how old are you?
I'm 56, so I'm not old, but I'm not young.
Well, that's the perfect age to be. I mean, because I have nothing against younger people, or anything like that, even though I'm not one anymore. But I think there's some wisdom that comes along with age, and that's why I worry about this Mandami guy in New York City. It's like it reminds me of a junior high school when I'm going to make it so you can chew bubble gum, and we'll have pop machines, and they probably have all that now. But back when I was a kid, they didn't, and that's what it reminds me of. What you married, have kids? Kind of tell a little bit about that.
Well, I've been married to my wife for 17, going on 18 years, and all we have is a couple little fur babies named Liberty and Justice for All. Yes, that's really their names. And
So is that how you Gen X? You're okay, Oliver. I got comments over here on the stage. So liberty and justice for all. That's one dog's name.
no, that's our cats. We have a pair of cats.
You have a pair of
Uh
cats, and their liberty and justice is the other one.
huh. And their
And
middle
then
names
who's
and it's for all. Uh
That's got to be
huh.
fun when you're crying out in the backyard at night. Where are the cats? Liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. Uh, we want to get a dog and name it Freedom or Dog. Either one. So,
Yeah, Doge, Doge the
yeah.
dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
so
it's actually Dog, but that's my wife's pronunciation.
you can do it. So why do you
Yeah.
want to be governor? What qualification? What do you think brings you to this thing?
Well, back in March, something just came over to me to start checking into how Oregon was being run. A lot of the financials. I spent uh, a day just going through the state budget, going, "This is just ridiculous." I see a lot of just things that need to be cut that don't benefit Oregon. I see a lot of things that could benefit for more money. And I've really spent a whole day going through this budget, going, you know, this we can do better than this. We can fix this. We can, Then the ODOT bill came along, and they started pushing that, and I'm going, something's got to change. And so I finally made the decision to file back in March. I sent my paperwork in. They sent it back to me, going, "You're too early." So I ended up sending it in the first part of September, and I went, okay, I've been working on my platform ever since, going, what can I do differently to make Oregon better and more efficient for all Oregonians, not just the urban areas, suburban areas, and rural areas, and all that, but how I can be a governor for all of Oregon.
So what did you
And
come
I
up
just
with?
started going through all these.
What are some things you've come up with that you really want to focus on?
Education is a really big, important thing to me. Our economy, our state government, how it's run, how we can make that a lot more efficient, um, and bringing back industries into Oregon, fixing our tax structure so it's more inviting to businesses that want to come to Oregon, because we've seen a lot of businesses leave, like places like Tektronix that moved to Texas. We lost Dutch Brothers who they moved their headquarters to Arizona. We see a lot of these other high tech companies cutting back. We just saw another 444 um, from Wells Fargo just get cut. This has been going on for a very, very long time. Our tax system here in Oregon needs a complete overhaul to fix the problems that we're having, because, we have a state government, uh, Tina Kotek just keeps coming after more and more of our money, going, but there comes a point to where you can't get any more money out of the people without, totally bankrupting the state and every person in it. That's kind of where we are. And I was like, this can't continue. And so I threw my hat in the ring and going, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to fix our tax structure. I want to lower taxes on working Oregonians. I want to exempt some Oregonians, like our elderly who are marginalized because of the tax system, that they lose their homes from it, and disabled people, and also veterans who, have we basically sacrificed our life to be able to protect our country. So there's things that we can do to incentivize businesses to come to
Uh-oh, you're cutting out.
do that
There we go.
is not being done by our government, our current form of government. And now we're to the point of,
What would you do with the timber industry in Oregon?
I would that's one of my favorite topics, because
That's near and
um,
dear to my heart because I do a project called The Truth About Timber, and I just see this, Oregon being this state that is so green, and they do things like, in my opinion, and you don't need to comment on this, but in my opinion, they do spend a lot of time doing things like recycling, which is proven to not do very much at all. It's just kind of a big, feel good virtue signaling thing. And here's
right,
stuff you're growing. You guys grow the best trees in the world, and they grow fast. I mean, in Montana, 100-year-old tree is like that big. Yours are, huge because they grow so fast. So you've got all this sustainability and carbon sequestering machines out there working for you, but you're leaving down timber to start fires and burning up acreage, and nobody's stopping these, not environmental groups, because the environmental groups are actually the loggers. All these people, anti-logging people, and they don't care if the forest burned down, and that's valuable
right.
product that keeps
There's a
people looking.
lot that we
So
can do in the timber industry. Back in 1980s, Oregon used to be, um, our GDP used to be about 3.5%. The timber industry added, what was it, between 12 and 15% to our GDP for Oregon. That equates to about $5 to $6 billion annually.
wow.
And Oregon was the number one exporter in timber. Now Oregon is barely maybe 1% of our GDP, and we need to bring back the timber industry, because more
Well,
to manage because of the fires. It takes anywhere from uh, half a $500 million, as much as to $1.5 billion, to manage all of our forest fires over in a single year. What we need to bring back is a sustainable forestry that we used to have. We need to bring back and deregulate some of the what do they call it? Policies, and we call it ecological things that we used to do that actually work, that maintain our forest systems. We need to thin our forests out. We need to clean the forest floors. We need to use all of our resources in the timber industry, because that vitalizes our rural counties. It revitalizes our rural communities, and it also helps with recreation, watershed, habitat, and other things. So we need to bring back the timber industry in a way that benefits Oregon, because Oregon really does not have, besides high tech, does not really have a revenue stream. So the timber industry is one way to reinfuse Oregon economy with $5 to $6 billion per year to help our state recover from all these taxes and stuff that have run businesses out of the state.
Well, you know, there's a project now called A to Z, and they're doing this in Montana and Idaho and in Washington. And it's like the timber companies are taking on the debt of doing the NEPA studies. And so they're betting, I mean, they could do the whole study and it costs millions of dollars and not get the sale, not get it done. But they're so desperate for lumber and timber, excuse me, that they're willing to try this in smaller areas. They're doing these projects and paying for all of that. And that's, you know, I mean, I'm glad they found a way to do it. But the sad thing is, it's because our government is so damn slow getting this stuff done, and they're so chicken. They're afraid to that because every sale gets hammered by these anti-logging groups. And so, you know what I'd
Right.
like to see done, Patrick, is put $1 million or a $500,000 bond out there. Like, okay, if you're gonna if a group wants to fight it, you got to put up a $500,000. So you got skin in the game. And then if
Mm-hmm.
everything goes to hell in the handbasket, you end up losing just like the timber industry does. Because right now they have all the advantage. All they have to do is fart
Right.
and they can stop a timber sale. They found a beetle and they can stop a timber sale. And that's not fair to an industry that depends on it. And it's not destroying the lumber. It's creating a product and there's another group
Mm-hmm.
in Montana and they're doing this with grizzly bear habitat. Grizzly bears don't live in trees. So they're cutting down and thinning trees areas and then planting the food that the bear wants. So the bears thrive, and the timber companies use what they take out as byproduct, and it becomes what's in your house. What about affordable housing? What would you do? What would you want to do about that? Are you there, Patrick? Patrick lives in um, oh, out in near John Day, Oregon. So sometimes his having there he is. Now you're back. Now you're
Right.
back. You were everything you said prior to that didn't happen.
Right. I was just trying to wait to see if I could catch an end of where you were stopping. This is the joys of rural Oregon,
No,
and
I get it.
not everything works out here perfectly all the time. So, uh, but there is a lot that we could do. I want to shorten the time from basically by the time you get your permit. I want to shorten that time to where you're actually able to log and bring back our mills, because right now I've watched the Malheur lumber mill here in John Day close.
Yeah.
The one in Hines, Oregon closed. The one in Prairies is off and on, and others have been closing off and on. And there's others that's closed. There's one down in Roseburg that I believe just closed completely. So we've got to do something, because our rural communities thrive with our timber industry. If we don't have timber, then we have no jobs, and that forces people out of the area. Um, Between Prairie City and John Day, we've lost almost 200 jobs. That includes uh, people in the logging industry, like our log truck drivers, our yarders, and everybody that works at all these. We're losing them because all that timber that the loggers are going out and cutting are going to other mills that are open, like over in Elgin and LeGrand and stuff like that. So there are problems with the way this is working, and it's just killing rural Oregon. Our only other industry is agriculture and beef. So there's not a whole lot that can be gained there, because timber was our number one export in the 1980s. Now we don't even really have that anymore. So we need to kind of bring it back, because that helps with economy. It helps lower cost of homes. It helps brings in jobs. It makes more affordable housing. There's a lot of positives that the timber industry can do for our communities.
So, Patrick, here's a practical question because I ran for Secretary of State, and so I understand this part. How does a guy from Mount Vernon, Oregon, raise the millions and millions of dollars it takes? And this race is, Kotek's going to be, all the Dems are going to be dumping money into her pockets, and Christine Drazen is going to be out there. She's probably the front runner. There's Danielle Bethel, who's a county commissioner in Marion County. She'll be dragging some money in. So how does a guy like you raise the kind of money you're going to need to do this?
I look at it, it's got to be God's will, because I put all my faith in Him, and through Him all things can be done. So that's how I'm doing this. I'm totally grassroots. I am just continuing with putting out a consistent message that people can relate to, and giving solutions to the actual problems that we're facing. I'm not giving lip service. I'm not giving platitudes. I'm giving real solutions to people to hook them, because these are the solutions that I want to do. And I'm hoping I get the opportunity to do that for Oregonians. I mean, I'm not just going to say, well, we need to do this, we need to do that. No, I'm coming up with solutions that actually I believe will work. I think that's something that is important, because that messaging needs to be going, this is what is going to work. And I think people are looking for someone who is willing to put that, their name on the line and say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not just going, well, and giving people, lip service. I don't believe in that. I think giving people the solutions that they want, the answers that they need, will actually help a lot.
What would you say to Tina Kotek, if you could go back and, like, with this transportation thing, she's asking for your advice. I mean, like, that would ever happen. Not you, but that she would ask for anyone's advice. But let's say she came to you, and how would you handle that? What would you say? What would your, like, I've got this transportation tax. I've got the Democrats and got enough votes to push it through. What do you tell her?
I would say let's audit the ODOT and find out how we can make it more efficient, and if necessary, cut spending, or if they do actually need more, then find other ways other than coming after the taxpayers. Because that's one thing I want to do, is I want to do a complete audit, forensic audit, and find how we can make our government a lot more efficient, because I believe in a limited government, not one that interferes in everyone's lives. So an audit of the complete ODOT system forensically, and look for how we can make it a lot more efficient and a lot better for all of Oregon.
The tax plan that she came up with, the Republicans found that all the money, she doesn't need all that money. The money they have in the actual budget, they could do what Oregonians want done. It's all the special climate change bullshit and the
Mm-hmm.
Rose Garden project and all these things, I guess, to leave Tina's name out there. So she has a plaque that says, Tina Kotek destroyed your lives because of this project. But those are the things they're extras. They're not the things that Oregonians actually want or need. And she's pushing it through that way. It's so mind numbing that the disregard for the electorate blows my frickin' mind,
Right. Well, one, she's not a governor, she's an activist. Look at
Yeah.
everybody that she is supporting right now. That is not an impartial person who should be leading. She's not a leader. We need impartiality in a governor, someone who looks at both sides and going, okay, how can we come together for a positive solution that works for everybody? Because, she's protecting illegals, she's protecting Antifa, she's protecting all these super elite people, and forgetting about the rest of Oregon. Well, there's a whole other world out there other than the Willamette Valley and 5 counties. So she panders to them. So my advice to her would be, buck up, audit the ODOT, and let's get some money out of other programs that aren't needed, that could be better funded and used. So I think that is what I would do for her, to tell her to go, okay, this is what you need to do, because what you're going to do isn't going to work. It will backfire.
Yeah. All right. So do this for me to close this thing out, is give us your elevator pitch. Tell me
My
what
elevator pit.
you go for it.
uh,
It's your time. You do what you want.
you know, I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. I love this state. I've lived here most of my life. I've been all over the country. I've lived other places, but Oregon is my home. The dirt runs in my veins. I will work it and fight for every Oregonian, regardless of party. I don't care. I want to be governor for all of Oregon. It's not about me, it's about each individual person, the elderly, the marginalized communities, all of them. That includes our law enforcement. That includes everybody in our state governments, our local governments, everybody in our communities that need stability and a leader that will lead Oregon into the future, who will give it everything I've got. And that's how I will do it. I will give everything I've got, the best that I can, and I will fight, fight, fight for everyone, young, old, small, rich, poor. It doesn't matter to me. I will fight for every Oregonian.
Patrick Hales, thank you so much for coming on, and keep in touch with me. And as your campaign keeps moving, if something comes up, to put press releases out, let people know, and let us hear what you're talking about when you start meeting with people. Okay.
I will. And also, just to let everybody know, I am on Facebook. You can look Running for Oregon or Patrick for Governor, and I should pop up. And I've got my website on there. And if anybody wants to donate to help me win Oregon for all of Oregon, there's a way to donate. And I really appreciate the people who are helping me with that. So I love everyone. I love Oregon. I love you, Rick. Thank you for having me on.
Hey man, I love your spirit and the fact that you're trying and you're going to go out there. More people need to do this, I mean, that's kind of what the state's all about. Get on school boards, get in your city council. Those positions are powerful too. And people should just be, if you want change in this state, you can't just wait. I think sometimes, not to bash Republicans, but why not? Sometimes what Republicans are really good at is, like that little thing with remember the chicken and she needed help making the bread and nobody'd help knead the bread. Nobody'd help put the water in it. Nobody'd help bake it, but everybody wanted to help eat it. Sometimes that's what,
Right.
what the Republican Party ends up looking like. Sometimes everybody tells you what to do. Here, Patrick, this is what you should do. Well, no, what the hell are you doing?
Exactly. And to give a little more context to that, I am the one who attempted to recall Senator Lynn Finley a couple of years ago, and I've also helped co-author legislation for our electoral system and how to protect it and make sure that it was accurate. So I have been involved for a while.
Yeah, you're not this isn't like all of a sudden, hey, I want to be governor. You know what I mean?
Right. It took a lot
know,
of thought and consideration. So yeah.
There's a lot of process in there. Patrick, thank you so much for coming on, buddy. See you later.
Thank you, Rick. Hey, take care.
All right. There you go. So Patrick Hales, that's Hales, and go look him up. Ask him questions. Get involved with this stuff. You got to hand it to the guy. We're I love seeing rural Oregonians step up because they always want to, and they're tough people. But a lot of times they don't get the applause that the people that are in power already get. And maybe it's time Oregon have people that are not as powerful, that can be powerful, can turn into powerful. So a lot of stuff going on, you guys. I love how Oregon's keeping track of this and you guys are keeping in touch with it. You're watching it, join our Facebook pages, follow what we're doing. We're reaching close to 9 million people just on Facebook every month. The views, that's views, not people, but views. So come and be a part of the conversation. I think the other side of the coin is getting nervous because they have no message and we have a message. But what Oregon has to do is work together. You've got to get out there and vote. You've got to register. You've got to keep I don't care if you're an independent or you don't have to be a Republican, but you have to vote. You have to participate in the process. 200,000, I think that's the number of Oregonians, Republicans didn't vote in the last presidential election. If those people would have voted, you probably could have changed the House and Senate makeup in the state of Oregon. But because people stayed home, because they thought, oh, and you guys, I know I see you say this all the time, But there's this great verse in the Bible called life and death is in the power of your tongue, and what you say will happen. I hear all the time, nothing's going to change till we change the electoral system. Well, then you know what? Nothing will change because that's what you're speaking into existence. Instead, you have to find a way as a state to make change before that happens because it's too popular right now and it's not going to change. That doesn't stop change from happening, but what you say you create. So you're creating your own problem. So instead say, here's things we can do. We can vote, we can participate, we can open our mouth, we can say no. We can go after Tina Kotek and say, you need to sign that legislation. And when she does, get on there and get that tax. There's like 1,000 people already signed up to just go crazy to get you guys the signatures that you need in like 45 days. It's half the time that you're supposed to have because she's dragged her feet. Don't let her do that. She can drag her feet, but now you just get there and sprint like Nike and you get this thing done. But you can't keep blaming vote by mail. I know it's a problem, but you can't keep blaming it because you're creating your own misery. So instead, find solutions to the problems and quit whining about it. I'm sorry, I'm being a little nasty tonight, but I'm tired of Oregonians. You whine, and that's not an Oregonian. Oregonians are rugged individualists. They're pioneers. They came out here to start something new. They came here to get away from the bullshit, and the bullshit followed you here. So now it's time to reestablish and get things straightened out. I know it's easy for me to say I live in Montana, but it's coming here too. We see the same kind of bullshit seeping its way into our culture as well. And I'm warning people and telling them this is how it starts and you have to finish it. Be watching the news tonight and see this Madami character in New York City. You watch because he's probably going to win. And what this will do, I think, this is my prediction. He will come in, he will win, he will destroy New York City. It'll be a big clusterfuck. Excuse my language. And then what will the party of Democrats have to do? And it's not just, but what will the far left have to lean on? They have nothing. And so they have no message. They have nothing positive to say. All they do is call us names for offering our opinions on things. They have nothing. And when that blows up and everything doesn't work, then it's going to be the people of America are going to stand up and say, okay, we're done with this. And then you'll see change. But so don't get all depressed and angry because things are happening. God has a plan. And fortunately, there's enough dumb people who will help him, and he doesn't have to do too much work on that. Merkley and Wyden both need to leave. Come on, Ron, you've had enough facelifts. I think your butt crack's about here in your head. You've had enough facelifts. Stop the Botox. No more. It's okay. You're in your 80s. It's fine. Just be old. It's all right. All right, you guys. So anyway, pass this on. Share it with friends. If people ask about what you saw tonight, let them know. And we'll be back tomorrow night with one of my clients, Ravi from Alpha IT. We're talking about cybercrime and how what's the newest things you can kind of prevent for yourself. Because the thing I'm learning about cybercrime is they're after businesses like you and me. And not the big companies have people, they understand that they're not going after them. They're going after you and me and small businesses. And Ravi can talk to us about that. Shelley says the bullshit started with the owl. That breed. Yeah. You mean the spotted owl that was really the problem wasn't the logging. It was actually the Bart owl. And now they're murdering tens of thousands of Bart owls. Your federal government at work. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys, keep the faith. Again, power in death and the power of life is in your tongue. So what you speak, it can happen. So keep it positive, keep it moving, and we'll see what we can do. We'll keep moving this. And I think I have a show on Thursday too. But anyway, should be at least I know there's one tomorrow. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Keep spreading stuff around. Keep sharing it. Go watch Tucker Carlson's newest podcast. Or it might not be it's not his newest one. It's one back with George Santos. Phenomenal podcast. You will really get a kick out of it. And you'll be very scared. All right. Good night.